recent flurry of shark attacks had people thinking twice about going into the water alone, or even at all. Suddenly, it seemed, everyone on Maui had realized they shared the ocean with large, occasionally snappish beasts. Around the island, there was a deep need for a clear explanation. Too many sea turtles, not enough fish, climate change, were the planet's poles perhaps flipping? Some way to figure out the situation, wrap it up, get back to a time when sharks didn't occupy the headlines every other day. I stood there in the wind considering my options, and after a few moments spent listening to my mind spin tales of lost limbs, sheared arteries, nothing left of me but a few scraps of bathing suit, I picked my way down the path and across the rocks, stepped into the water, and began to swim across the bay. In the water, I would only be as alone as I felt on land anyway. If something happened to me out here, I wasn't sure I cared. I had lived with that feeling, a dull indifference to pretty much everything, for almost 2 years, since my father had died of a heart attack. He was 71 years old and athletic and strong, and when his heart's electrical system seized up, he had been at our family's summer cottage, walking down to the dock to take his seaplane out for a spin. The doctors said it probably took him 5 seconds to die. In some dim, distant corner of my mind, I had always known, as every person does, that my father wouldn't be around forever. But the idea of losing him was so huge and overwhelming that I never gave it any space. It lived inside my head as the most horrifying thing I could possibly imagine, the monster I hoped never to face. By the time I hit my 40s, divorced, childless by choice, restless by nature, I knew that my father was the central figure in my life, the rock, the anchor, the wise man whose presence allowed me to roam the world making mistakes and having adventures, because I could always trust he'd be there at the end to help me make sense of it all. I could no more imagine a life without him than I could imagine life without my torso. And yet, here I was. But a strange thing happens when your worst nightmare is realized. Nothing much is left to scare you. After the initial tsunami of grief, I found myself walking calmly into situations that would have previously terrified me. A solo swim at dusk in prime tiger shark territory, for instance. Fear was replaced by an ever-present numbness. As I headed across the mouth of the bay, I veered slightly south, out to sea, until I was a half-mile offshore. Treading water, I cleared my goggles and looked around. I could faintly see the bottom, unperturbed and sandy, and conditions were smoother out here, so I didn't turn back. I kept swimming. Some people crave illicit substances when upset. My drug of choice is salt water. The ocean's vast blue country was either peace or oblivion. I wasn't sure which, but both of those possibilities worked for me. I was about to head back when a movement caught my eye. A large, shadowy body passed diagonally below me. Then, a jutting dorsal fin. Beside it, something white flashed. Streaks of sunlight had filtered through the clouds, and suddenly the water was illuminated. My adrenaline surged as the creatures revealed themselves. It was a pod of spinner dolphins, 40 or 50 animals, swimming toward me. They materialized from the ocean like ghosts, shimmering in the ether. One moment they were hazily visible, then they were gone, then they reappeared on all sides, surrounding me. I had never been this close to dolphins before, and I was amazed by their appearance. One of the bigger spinners approached slowly, watching me. For a moment, we hung there in the water and looked at one another, exchanging what I can only describe as a profound cross-species greeting. His eyes were banded subtly with black, markings that trailed to his pectoral fins like an especially delicate bank robber's mask. I wondered if he was the pod's guardian, if the others followed his lead. The dolphins were
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.